Welcome to this yoga class. Today we'll focus on the feet, ankle strength, the calves, 3 phases. So at the beginning of practice, mobility, just working through the joints, warming everything up. In the middle, strength. And at the end, stretching where we stay for a long time so we can increase our flexibility. Research indicates longer stretches up to 30 seconds, 3 times, repeated 3 times, 5 days a week is really how you increase your flexibility. So longer stretches in that phase. If you have blocks, they will be handy for the down dog today to stretch out the calves. You don't need them though. They're just nice to have. I have these eggs. They're not quite blocks, but similar. And then if you like legs up. Today, I'm going to model it with a chair. So you might like to have a chair for near the very end of practice. So have those things ready and then join me on the mat. So we'll begin on our backs. Inhale to splay the fingers and toes wide. Exhale to curl the hands into fists, squeeze the toes. Inhale to splay. Exhale to squeeze. Continue this action. Be more like this. At least 2 more. Last one, splay. And then roll wrists and ankles. Notice the space between the joints or any pops or cracks. And reverse. And take those knees and hug them in. Extend the legs to the sky, flex through the ankles, and just give yourself a hug back in. Lengthen legs, flex, and hug back in. Just one more like this. And hug, rock to massage the spine. And lengthen out that left leg. Send that right leg high toward the sky and point and flex the ankle again. And here, if you wish, we can add some neuroflossing with some corresponding head movement. So next time you point the toes, look overhead and hip. Exhale, bring the toes back, bring the head back to neutral or slightly tucked. Point the toes, look overhead. Exhale, flex the ankle, bring the head back to neutral or slightly tucked. So again, look overhead, point, bring the head back, flex ankle. Just a few like this, if it serves. Last time, as you point and look overhead, stay looking overhead, bring the foot back to a flex position, ankle back to flex position. And then from here, point the toes as you bring the head back to neutral or slightly tucked. Flex the foot as you look overhead. So it's the opposite now. Point, bring head back. Flex, look overhead. 2 more. Last one. And from here, take that ankle and flex it, and then wave the foot side to side. So you're waving, kind of like this. Just something you kind of have to see, I think. Side to side through the ankle. A little faster too. Ooh, I already feel my shin turning on the top of my foot. Let's give that a break. Point the toes, draw that knee back in. Maybe a nice long body stretch here. And use the core to bring the legs back in. Give them a hug and lengthen that right leg out. The left leg can go toward the sky and point and flex the toes. And again, you could just stay with this. Or next time you point the toes, look overhead. And next time you flex the ankle, bring the head back to neutral. Point the toes, look overhead. Head back to neutral, flex ankle. Just a few like this. Two more. And last one, continue to look overhead as you flex the ankle. And then as you bring the head back to neutral, point the toes. Flex the ankle, look overhead. Point the toes, bring the head back to neutral or slightly tucked. Continue here. Few more. Last one. Keep that ankle flexed and wave the foot side to side, toes wave. Feel the shin burn, feel the top of the foot perhaps burn, or anything like me. And then pause, point, and hug that knee back in. From here, lengthen both legs, lengthen the arms overhead, wiggle the fingers and the toes. And again, use the core, draw the legs in, and even curl up through the torso now. Just one time. Set the feet back down. Hands or palms plant. Adjust the spine as you need. Inhale. And exhale, lift the spine as a unit. The pelvis lifts. Lower down just to hover over the mat and lift. Just a few of these. Stability of the pelvis. Strength of your center body. Really important for the feet too. Proximal to distal. Sometimes there's a problem or an issue, I shouldn't say a problem, but something going on with your center, and it can manifest in the more distal or far away parts of the body, like the hands and feet. And let's lift. And from here, see if you can come onto the toes and then roll onto the heels, lift the toes up. Feel the shins activate and then roll again onto the toes, your high heels, and then you're active in the shins. This isn't just mobility, this is some strength as well, but we'll get into the true strength a little bit later. So a few more. Last one, lift. Plant the feet, keep the hips up, and then flex again through the ankle. So dorsiflex through the feet. So the toes are toward the sky here. A lot of us are weak in our shins, especially as we get older. We can even trip on our own feet because we're not picking up the foot in dorsiflexion. And here you can tap one foot and the other. Tap, 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 tap. Glutes are firing. Integrate the ribs. Press through the arms. And pause. Inhale. And exhale to lower down. I said that a little fast because I wanted to come down. Hug those knees in again. And we'll roll onto our sides so that we can come into tabletop on hands and knees. From here, tuck those toes, send the hips up and back, downward facing dog, and we'll pedal the feet. The block version will come later in practice. Just take a regular down dog and see whether or not your heels reach the floor. For some of us, they don't. And sometimes it's the flexibility within the ankles and the calves and the lower leg. And that's okay for it to be the way it is. And from here, take the right leg up and then come on to the left, onto the toes of the left foot, and then draw or bring the heel toward the earth. So again, press through the forefoot, come onto the toes, and let the foot come back down. Other leg stays nice and high. Working through the left foot. One more time, come onto tippy toes, bend that right knee, hug the thigh toward the chest as you come into plank, and then bring that or land that right foot in between the hands. And here we are in a lunge position with the hands on the earth. Hands could also be on the blocks. Rocking forward and back on the left toes. From here, pause and see. You might adjust your stance a little. If you adjust your stance a little bit, sorry, I said that fast, and come up into your runner's lunge. And from here, you might come onto the right toes and then set the heel down. Come onto the right toes, set the heel down. Just a few times like this. Oop, losing my balance. Let's do 3 more. 3, 2, and 1. Set that heel down. Hands frame the front foot as you step back into plank. You can lower those knees or keep them lifted. Come forward slightly with the body. Take a chaturanga here. Bring the chest through the arms. Could be that you're on the forearms. And exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. From here, again, pedal the feet. And let's take that left foot into the sky. And come onto the right toes and let the heel drop down. Press into the forefoot, come onto the toes, heel drops. Just a few like this. Two more. Last one, come onto the toes, stay on them as you bend that left knee, draw it in toward the chest, come into your plank, only to pull that right foot through and set it down between the hands. Rock forward and back on that right foot. And from here, prepare your stance to roll up through the spine. And come into your high lunge. From here, you can come onto the toes of the left foot and lower the heel. Press into the foot, lower the heel. We have 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. Let that heel land. Hands return to the earth. Again, step back into that plank. Roll forward. Take your chaturanga. Take your version of up dog. And exhale, hips up and back. Downward facing dog. And this is where we'll take those blocks, if you have them, underneath the hands for the down dog. And notice once you do this, if your heels come closer to the earth, and see if you can really press into the earth or those blocks. And just feel the stretch through the backs of the calves. And then walk the feet forward and plug them into the hip socket with each step until, pardon me, the feet are between the blocks. Hands to shins halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Bend those knees to sink into chair so we can equalize our blood pressure because we've been down for a while. Hands can be by the sides, or arms can be by the sides of the ears or at heart center. And press your way up to stand. From here, some stability through the ankle. So tree pose. So take that right foot to the inseam of that left calf. And balance here. You can even stand on one of those blocks and do the same thing. Few breaths as you stabilize and try to draw that left hip in toward midline. So hug the outside of the leg in. So we're not dumping and rolling onto the outside of the foot. Bring that right knee forward. And then open it back up. Bring it forward. Open it up. Bring it forward. And then extend the leg, flex through the ankle. This will activate through the quad, through the shin again. And then swing or sweep that right leg back so that the body comes parallel to the earth. Again, working on balance in that standing foot. And the hands can come down. And from here, you could come on to those left toes and then set the foot down. Just like before, onto the left toes, set the foot down. Last one. Set the foot down, point the right toes, send that leg a little higher for needle. And then bend the knee and set the feet side by each. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold, bend the knees, sink into chair again. If you're really tight or lack mobility in the ankles, this could be really challenging. Chair is really challenging for people with ankle mobility concerns. And press your way up to stand. And here again, tree pose on this side. So that left foot comes to the calf. And see if you can find your strength here. And again, you could be stepping onto the block for the tree pose. Just to see what that's like. Few more breaths. You press through that foot, yet have an active arch, a sense of lift through the center. Bring that left knee forward and open out to the side. Again, forward. Open. Two more. Last one, bring that knee forward, extend the left leg, flex through the ankle. And then send left leg back as you pivot the body forward into your warrior three. And then hands can come down. Come onto the right toes. Lower the heel. Again. Oops. Three more. Two. Last one, come on the toes, set the foot down, and instead point the left toe, send the leg a little higher. And then set the feet side by each. And just let your head hang for a moment. Shake it yes. Shake it no. You pause and stick out the tongue. And from here, gorilla pose. So we'll take those hands underneath the feet or peace fingers, so index and middle and thumb, wrap them around the big toes so you can give them a little squeeze. So a little massage for the hands and the feet as you perhaps rock a little. Generous bend in the knees as needed. Mhm. And then we'll remove those hands. Walk your feet back so that you land in your down dog. And we'll take the left foot, we'll wrap it behind the right ankle. So you're hooking the top of your foot around the outside of the right ankle. And trying to press the right foot down to stretch. And stay here for a little while. And the last phase of our class today. One more inhale. Exhale, ha. Unhook that left foot. And take the right top of the foot to the earth. And see if you can feel a stretch in the front of the shin. It may not be very intense for some of us. Some of you might feel it quite a bit. So another stretch a little later will do. It's more intense. You can pick and choose. Plant the right sole of foot down. And we'll switch here. Right foot hooks now behind the left one to begin that calf stretch as we ground or press the left heel toward the earth. Doesn't mean it's going to get there. And one side might be a little different. Noticing this one's tighter. Maybe feeling the work in the shoulders here, the arms, muscular engagement to press the earth away. That can intensify the calf stretch as well. One more inhale. And exhale to release that right foot and come onto the top of the left foot. More breaths here. Last one. Let's lower the knees down, flatten the tops of the feet. And in this more narrow stance, if it's okay for the knees, you could sit back just for a moment here. Tuck the chin. Then roll up through the spine. And more for the feet. Right now, you might even feel a stretch, but more for the feet. Let's lean back and lift the knees off. So this is for the front of the shins. You could even choose to have the hands on the knees. If this is too much for the knees, you can try a blanket in the crook behind calf and back of thigh. Two more breaths. Final inhale. Exhale high. and come back to seated on the shins, which for some is enough, right? You could just stay right here. Now, for the ankles, the feet, tuck the toes. You might need to stay leaned fairly far forward. And this is okay. So if this is really intense, you might be almost more in a tabletop position, or you sit your bottom onto your heels. This again could be done with a little pillow, okay, if this is too much. The more upright you are, the more intense it will be. Draw those ribs in. If upright and tall here, because they tend to like to flare once we're seated up like this, then it becomes more intense through the feet. We'll arch back. This is a challenging one. We'll just do one more breath, but we'll come back to it after. And exhale, hands come down if they're not already there. Untuck the toes. You can tap the tops of the feet. Could just stay here and pause, or you might again sit onto the shins. This could be enough, or lift the knees. As I was saying earlier, lots of things benefit flexibility, but that 30 seconds 3 times, 5 days a week, it sounds like a lot. If you're struggling with flexibility in an area, try that. Bring the shins back down. Again, tuck the toes, might stay leaned forward, might bring the body upright. If there's any little toes that are trying to curl, also untuck them. And there's a draw of the inner ankles. So a little squeeze of the legs toward one another, ankles inward. Boy, does that make it more intense for me. Ah. Drop into the breath. Toe squats are very intense, so lean forward as needed. We're inhale and exhale to set those hands down. Again, tap the tops of the feet. One more time. We're getting our third round in. Sit on those shins and perhaps lift the knees. See what you can soften. Notice where there's tension. And just maybe allow it and just breathe. Some more breaths. Last inhale and exhale to set those shins down. Final time. Tuck the toes. Again, right? Option to stay right here. Sit back if it's not intense enough for you. Everybody's bone structure is different. Everybody's body's history is different. Just honor that as you hug the outer ankles in a little. It's a little longer here. or inhale. And exhale to set those hands down again, if not already there. Untuck the toes. Again, you might do that little tap. Oh, wow. From here, roll through the spine, so round and arch. Release any tension. And then come onto your back. And open the knees wide. Stretch the inseams of the legs because that can help with the arches of the feet. Any tension that may have developed in through the jaw and through the neck. Run the tongue along the top teeth, circle them. And change directions. Circle the bottom teeth. Reverse directions. Let the tongue go. As you take the hands and close the knees like a book. And allow the legs to drape to one side in a supine rotation. And other side. And from here to finish, you can take that chair. If choosing a chair, legs could also go up the wall. Otherwise, chair and legs can go on the chair. If you can, my legs are a little too long for this, but bring the seat of the chair as close into the upper calf as you can, because then you can move the legs side to side and massage the calves a little bit. The blocks can also be underneath the calves to have them higher. If for some reason the chair isn't not high enough for you, if you're a very tall person. And then come into stillness for Savasana. Notice the lightness in your feet. And the heaviness of the calves on the chair. It's a softness in the low back, the knees bent. Feel the breath in the belly. In the low back. Into the lower ribs, back and front and sides. Lengthen the back of the neck. And feel the skull weighted on the earth. Final inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Ha. You might wiggle those toes and fingers, or rock the calves again on the chair. Or you roll onto your favorite side. And as you're ready in your own time, press yourself up to seated. Let's roll the shoulders. And take the head over to one side. And the other. Back to center. One arm stretches across the chest. As we stayed in those down dogs today, we use the shoulders. Open up that arm. And then other side. Open the arm. Bring both hands behind you. Interlace the fingers if able, or just reach back. Chest opens. And release the fingers. Few shoulder rolls. And sweep the arms up. And bring the hands through to heart center. I hope that you feel more spacious and connected, mind, body, and soul. Thank you for practicing with me today. Sat Nam.